welcome back. Second video of the first week. We're on polynomials. We did collecting like terms yesterday, Monday and Tuesday. So this post will be for tomorrow and Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. And we are adding and subtracting polynomials. I'm going to start by reviewing the homework from the last 2 days. I'm just going to go over 2 questions and so that you can check them and just see how you're doing, and if you had problems with these questions, great, you can follow along. So I had a couple questions about, so that is the very first question on your handout. I had some questions about what to do when we just have no number in front. Okay, so recall that if there isn't a number in front, there is a 1. Okay, so you could write it as 1x, 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 1y, but normally what's done is it's just those numbers, the 1s, are dropped, and it's just left with the variable. Okay, so that's kind of normal, but all you have to do is remember that there's 1. So there's 1, 2, 3 x plus y, okay, plus 1y. So that's one question. Another question is f. So that's 1a from your handout, and f was 5r. So 5r minus r squared plus 3r minus r squared plus 5t and plus 6r. Okay, so it's important for these kind of questions to just keep track and say, okay, how many different terms, like different types of terms we have. This is an R, so that's 1, and that's an R, and that's an R. So all 3 of those can be collected, okay, because they're the same letter and they have the same variable, which is a 1, okay? So those are all the same. So that would be one group to collect. We also have r squared, so we've got 2 terms with r squared in it, so those can be collected. And lastly, there's one with a t, and there's only 1 with it, so it will end up staying the same. So let's group them up. If you want, there's 2 different ways that you can do this, depending on how you feel. You could rewrite these so that the groups are side by side. So if I was to do that, I would do my r's, so 5r plus 3r, and sometimes I check them off as I go, and plus 6r. So that's basically one group right there, and I've written them all side by side, remembering that it's super important that you keep the sign in front. If there's a plus 3r here, when you write it down here, it has to be plus 3r, okay? Same thing, plus 6r here, needs to be plus 6r there. Don't change the sign in front of the variable. Okay, and then my second group would be r squared, so I'm going to write minus r squared and minus r squared. So there's my second group, and my last group is plus 5t. Okay, so we've got our r squareds, we've got our t. So we have everything written down. In the past, I've had some students even draw lines here, okay, and say, here's one group here, I can add or subtract within that group. I can add or subtract within this group, and same with that group, okay? So I go here and I say, okay, 5 plus 3, that's 8, plus 6, that's going to be 14. So you should have 14r. Then I go to my second group, and I've got negative 1, right? Remember that there's a 1 here, and there's a 1 here. So I've got negative 1r squared minus 1r squared. So that's going to be negative 2, or minus 2r squared. So that's that group. And then this one, I'm not adding or subtracting anything, but I have to make sure I write that down. So plus 5t. Okay, so those are 2 questions that I was going to take up from our homework. So hopefully you can check along. And moving on to today, we are adding and subtracting adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay, recall polynomial has two or more terms. Okay, so first thing that I want to tell you is to give you a bit of a rule. Okay, so what it could look like when you're adding or subtracting is you're going to have brackets now around. Okay, so here in example I have 3x minus 2y. So that's a polynomial because I've got two terms in the brackets there. Okay, and then I'm adding another polynomial of two terms. So there. So that's an example of adding polynomials. Here I'm adding, okay, and I've got a polynomial and a polynomial. So the rule is, and I'll write it off to the side in red. If you are adding, so in other words, if there's a plus sign in front of a bracket, okay, so I'm adding a polynomial. So if adding, your first thing that you're going to do is you're going to drop these brackets. Okay, so if adding, you're going to drop brackets and keep all terms the same sign. Okay, so I'll show you the next step of what that would look like. Okay, this one, because it's the first term, I can automatically drop the brackets. So 3x minus 2y. I can drop them and nothing's going to change. Now here I have a plus sign in front of brackets, in front of a polynomial. And because I'm adding, the rule is that I'm going to drop the brackets and keep the terms the same sign. Okay, so this one you'll notice, if we just look here, 4x, that's positive, right? There's no negative sign there, so 4x is positive. So when I write it down here without the brackets, I'm going to write plus 4x. Now I look at my second term in my polynomial, and it's plus 6y. So when I go down here, I'm keeping all the terms the same sign. I'm going to write plus 6y. Okay, so now you've taken something with brackets and you've basically dropped all of the brackets and made it the exact same as what we've been doing for the last 2 days. And now we're just going to collect like terms. Okay, so we've got two different terms. We've got x and then we've got our y's. Because there's just two and it's not very difficult to keep track of them, I'm just going to do it in one step instead of rewriting them side by side. But you can rewrite them side by side if that helps you. So for the x's, I've got 3x plus 4x. So 3 plus 4, that's 7x. Okay. Now for my y's, I've got negative 2 plus 6. So negative 2 plus 6, that's going to be plus 4y. Okay, and if you're having trouble doing the integers in your head, use your calculator. It's okay to use it for this type of stuff. Okay, just make sure you're punching in the signs correctly. So that's your answer right there. Okay, final answer. So again, first step is we drop the brackets, okay, and keep all the terms inside the brackets the same sign. Okay, and then so that's kind of step number 1, and then step number 2 is you collect like terms, just as you have been doing the last 2 days. Okay, so let's do another example, and I would like you to write it down, pause it, try it, and then check it over. Okay, so here's our second example. So practice number 1, 5x plus 3, brackets, so there's your polynomial, plus, brackets, 4x plus 7. Okay, pause. Don't just watch this through. Pause it, try it. Okay, now you've unpaused, everybody's tried the question, we're going to take it up. Our first step, because we're adding, okay, we've got a plus sign in front of our polynomial here, so we're adding. So we're going to drop the brackets and keep the terms the same sign. So first one we can drop automatically, okay, because there's nothing in front. There's no plus sign, there's no minus sign. Just drop the brackets, so 5x plus 3. Now I'm going to drop these brackets and everything inside is going to stay the same sign. This is positive, so plus 4x, and this is positive, so plus 7. Okay, we've dropped the brackets, we kept everything the same sign. Our second step is to collect the like terms. So you can see here we've got x's, so x group, and then we've got just constants, just plain numbers here. So 5x plus 4x, so 5 plus 4, that's 9. And don't forget to write the variable. Then we've got our constants of 3 plus 7, so that's 10. Okay, so you should have for an answer 9x plus 10. Okay, one more example. Okay, your next question to try is a polynomial with 3 terms. So 2, so that would make it a trinomial, minus 3c plus c squared. Okay, there's your first polynomial. And then we're going to add it to 5 minus 4c minus 4c squared. There's the question. You push pause, try it on your own. Now that everybody's tried it, we'll put the answer up. So recall from the other board, our first step, drop brackets. Okay, because it's addition, same sign. Okay, everything stays the same sign. So let's do that. First one, we just drop the brackets. There's no plus or minus in front of here. Okay, so minus 3c plus c squared. Brackets are gone from that one. Because we're adding here, everything inside the brackets on the next line is going to say the same sign. 5 is positive, so plus 5. Minus 4c, I need to write down here, minus 4c. Minus 4c squared, minus 4c squared. Okay, and now we're just going to collect like terms. So you'll notice here we've got 3. So we've got constants. Okay, so that's one group there. We've got another group with the c. And then we've got another group, c squared. Okay, because there's 3 groups, our answer should have 3 terms in it. So first one, I'm going to add, subtract the constant. So 2 plus 5, that's 7. Okay. Negative 3c, negative 4c. So negative 3 minus 4, that's negative 7. And don't forget the variable, c. So those ones are done. Now we're just left with the c squared. So we have a 1 here, minus 4. So 1 minus 4, that's negative 3, c squared. Okay, that's your answer. Okay. I did have one last one for you to try, and then we will move on to subtracting polynomials. So this question is negative 18x squared minus 9x minus 4. Okay, again, another trinomial, plus 5x squared plus 6x plus 10. Okay, again, everybody should hit pause, try this question on your own, get the answer, unpause, and here will be your taking up the answer. So we're going to drop the brackets. right? And because we check here, plus sign, when we drop these brackets, everything stays the same sign, okay? Because there's nothing in front of here, when we drop these brackets, everything stays the same sign. So let's do that. We're dropping these brackets, so this is negative 18x squared. So here we write negative 18x squared. Minus 9x, minus 9x, negative 4, minus 4. Okay, so there's the first one. Basically the exact same thing, just no brackets. Because there's a plus sign, I'm going to do the same thing here. Everything is going to stay the same sign. This is positive 5x squared, so I'm going to write plus 5x squared, plus 6x, and plus 10. Okay, good idea to double check this, make sure you haven't switched around any signs. And then we can go through and say, okay, how many different types of terms? We've got an x squared group, we've got an x group, and then we are going to have just constants. Okay, so I've got negative 18x squared, so negative 18 plus 5. Okay, that's going to be negative 13x squared. So there's our first one, 2 taken care of. Our x group, I have negative 9 plus 6. So again, punch in your calculator if you're not sure. Otherwise, if you're using a number line or you can do it in your head, negative 3x. So those ones are good. And then our constants, we've got negative 4 or minus 4 plus 10. So that should be plus 6. Okay, and that's what you should have for an answer. If you're practicing these at home and you're not getting the right answer, go back, double check, make sure that you haven't changed any of these signs, okay? If you got all that right and you still got wrong answer, go through and make sure that you're adding, subtracting your integers correctly. Okay, so that's the first half of the lesson. That's adding, subtracting, that's adding polynomials, so plus sign in front of these brackets. Now we're going to do, it's almost the exact same, except we're going to have a subtraction sign there. Okay, so subtracting polynomials. Subtracting polynomials. Okay, so really the only difference that you're going to see here is you're still going to see a question. So here's our example. You're still going to see a question. It's going to have polynomials, so 2 or more terms inside brackets. So this question is 2x minus 4y. So there's one of our polynomials. And now we're subtracting another polynomial, 3x plus 6y. Okay, so notice polynomial, polynomial. Only difference is that in this case, we aren't adding, we're subtracting. Okay, so the rule is different when we're subtracting. So where am I going to write the? I'll write the rule over here. So if subtracting, you drop the brackets and change all the signs inside the brackets. Okay, so there's your rule. Let's just go over that, okay, and just apply that. So you'll notice that our first set of brackets, it's the exact same. Whether this is being added or subtracted, there's nothing in front of here. Okay, I drew this on the first. There's nothing in front. So if there's nothing in front of the brackets, you drop the brackets and nothing changes. Okay, so don't apply this rule unless you have a subtraction sign in front of the brackets. Okay, so here, nothing in front of the brackets, this stays the same. So 2x minus 4y. Okay, now we have a subtraction sign in front. okay? The key thing is that it's in front of the brackets. Subtraction sign in front of the brackets, we're going to use our rule. We're going to drop the brackets, but we're going to change all the signs of the terms inside the brackets, okay? So you look at this, say, okay, it's minus, so I know I have to change everything inside the bracket. Sometimes I hide that and I say, okay, what sign is this? Currently, right now, it's positive, okay? So when I write it down here, because I have the subtraction sign, I have to change the sign. So it becomes minus 3x, okay? Subtraction sign again, I'm going to cover that and I'm going to say, okay, I know I need to change the signs. This one got changed, this is positive, and now it's going to become negative. Okay, so that is the difference between adding and subtracting, is what you do to the signs of the terms inside the brackets that have the plus or the minus sign in front of it. Okay, if you've done this correctly, now the next step is the same as we've been doing along the way. So we've got an X group, we're going to collect like terms, and we've got a Y group. Okay, so two different groups will have two different terms for our answer. So 2x minus 3x is minus 1x. You can put a 1 there if you like that, or you can just leave it as minus x. Okay, either way is fine. Negative 4y, so negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10y. Okay, so that's your answer. So the steps are the same, where you drop the brackets. The only thing that changes is if you have a minus sign or a subtraction sign in front of the brackets, everything inside the brackets, now the signs are going to change. Okay, so an example for you guys to try is this. So negative 2x plus 3 and minus 3x plus 2. Okay, so you're pausing that to give this a try. Now you're back, checking your answer. So again, our first one, there's nothing in front of the brackets, okay? Nothing in front of the brackets means I'm just going to drop the brackets and everything inside is going to stay the same. So this first polynomial stays as negative 2x plus 3, okay? But now I have a subtraction sign in front of this polynomial, so when I drop these brackets, everything inside here is going to change signs. So this is positive 3x, so it becomes negative 3x. This is positive 2, it becomes negative 2. Okay, the common mistake that I see people do is they will drop the brackets and they'll write minus 3x, but then they'll still write plus 2. Okay, and I think they write that because there's a minus sign right here, so they just group that up, but then they forget to change the sign of every single term in that brackets, okay, in the brackets. So this one also needs to be changed. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of positive, negative, so you can see everything has changed the sign. Okay, so now I've got an X group, I've got a constant group, now I'm going to group them up together. So negative 2 minus 3, that's negative 5x, and 3 minus 2 is plus 1. Okay, so that's what you should have for your answer. Okay, let's keep some of this up and we'll go through 2 more examples and then you guys will have some worksheets to do. Okay, so your next example is 4 minus 5n. There's your first polynomial, minus, okay, notice we're subtracting, negative 6n plus 2. Okay, so again, pause, try it. Now you're back. Answer. This one, nothing in front of it, so this, all these terms stay the exact same sign. So 4 minus 5n. Subtraction sign in front of brackets, in front of the polynomial. Everything inside is now going to change sign. Right? Drop the brackets and change all the signs. So this is minus 6n, it becomes plus 6n. Plus 2, it becomes minus 2. Okay, again, I'll just draw the arrows so you can see, right? All our signs have changed. Okay, now all we're doing is collecting like terms. So we've got a constant group and we've got an n group. So we'll do the constant first. So 4 minus 2, that's 2. And then our n group is negative 5 plus 6, that's 1. So plus n. Okay, and if we write plus 1n, that's okay too. Okay, so there's your answer, 2 plus n. Okay, last question. Okay, so this question is 8a squared plus 2a minus 3. Okay, so trinomial, and we're subtracting negative 6a squared plus 4a plus 7. Okay, pause, try it, unpause, and the answer. So nothing in front of this one, all these terms stay the exact same. So we have 8a squared plus 2a minus 3. Okay, subtraction sign tells us that all of these signs need to change, all three of them. So we look here, we've got negative 6a squared, so it becomes plus 6a squared. Plus 4a minus 4a. Plus 7 minus 7. Okay, so now we're just going to deal with this. We're going to collect like terms. I've got an a squared group. I've got an a group. And I've got a constant group. Three groups, I should end up with a trinomial at the end. So a squared is 8 plus 6, so that's 14a squared. A's is 2 minus 4, so that's negative 2a. And negative 3 minus 7, that should be my negative 10. So that's what you should have for an answer. Okay, that's it for today. I will save the worksheets as a PDF, and those will be sent out with by Edsby, and so you'll get that. And I think what I'll do is, right now actually I'm going to make a quick little video with a couple questions from each of the worksheets, just so you can see that you're on the right track. Okay, so that's it for today.